Hello everyone, I'm Akshay and welcome back to the Red Devils podcast. What a shocking situation, and I don't believe that doesn't come surprising for me, because I knew that sooner or later this set of players will definitely get that reality check, and this is why Glazers are not the right people to own this club. Last night, what happened? I couldn't even give a match reaction last night because I was way too much frustrated, annoyed, angry. I actually broke a glass in my house because I was so frustrated with that performance. Manchester United were beaten by, not even beaten, we were humiliated by Liverpool 7-0. 7-0. Manchester United shouldn't get beaten by any team, let alone by arch rivals Liverpool. That's 7-0. Imagine what the horror Erik Ten Hag must have gone through, because that man has turned things around for this club. And last night, the performance that those players gave at Anfield, it was disgusting. That performance was abysmal. I couldn't just watch that game. When we were 6-0 down, I broke the glass. I was like so frustrated with that match. I mean, with all due respect to Erik Ten Hag, he made some couple of mistakes in that last game. I'm gonna talk about those as well. But I'm still gonna say that I'll back this manager. For me, he's the best person to lead this club. But if there is any doubt that Glazers should leave this club, last night it was proven that we need to kick them out. I really hope that Qatar, now at this moment I'm not even rooting for Sir Jim Ratcliffe or any other American or some other consortium, right? Now I really want Qatar to buy us off from these assholes, so that at least they can give the backing to Erik Ten Hag. I mean, I'm going to talk about the match. I'm going to talk about the performance of these players. Just give me a second, because I really want to talk about this Glazer thing. Because some of you who will be watching this show, they'll be like, why am I blaming Glazers for this performance? Because it was the players. Obviously, it was that last night performance comes down to players. I completely agree with that. The heads were down. We were 1-0 down at the half time, and then in a couple of minutes, we were 2-0 down. And honestly, when you are 2-0 down at Anfield, which is one of the most hostile environment in the Europe, there's no need to counter-attack. You just need to park the bus, stay down, hope that they don't attack you enough, and just concede a loss at 2-0. You can try to make some counter-attacking moves, but you need to make sure that you don't concede one. Because you're already 2-0 down, you don't need to make yourself look like a losers, a bunch of players who are losing after 2-0 down. But last night, Manchester United players were not even listening to Erik Ten Hag, were not even listening to the fans. They were not even respecting the jersey that we buy around the world just so that their wages can be paid. But still, those players were not respecting the jersey. They were not respecting the club. They were not respecting us. They were not even respecting the manager, because that performance, my friends, was absolutely shit. I was so frustrated last night. I was so angry at the players. If I was the manager and if it was allowed and was not unethical, I would have slapped every one of them. I would have actually slapped every one of them. They needed to be woken up from that amazing run that they have been having for the past few weeks. I mean, whatever they have done for the past few weeks, everything was burned down last night. Everything went to the gutter. It was absolutely horrific incident last night. Everything that they've achieved for the past few weeks. We have won a Carabao Cup. We are still in FA Cup. We are still in Europa League. We are still in the top 4 of Premier League. But still, what happened last night, that should have never happened. That simply should have never happened. I don't even have words to explain what I was feeling last night. I mean, I can say that absolutely with no shame. I hated these players last night. Every single fan around the world who was watching that match last night would have actually cursed every single player. I mean, there are some players that actually love in that footballing in that football club. Bruno Fernandes, David De Gea, Luke Shaw, Rashford, Casemiro, Varane. And let me remind you, last night the starting 11 were actually our best starting 11 in the club. That was our best starting 11, and still we conceded 7 goals to Liverpool, the team who actually was humiliated a few days back by Real Madrid in their own home ground. And then they took revenge on us. They destroyed us, they humiliated us by 7-0. And the reason I was blaming Glazers for this, because let me tell you this again. If these Glazers stick around for another season or some other couple of years, the story is going to stay the same. Remember what we were talking about. Last season, last summer window, Darwin Núñez was the first choice of Erik Ten Hag. He could have come to United, he could have failed miserably, but it was still Erik Ten Hag's choice. And look what happened last night. Darwin Núñez scored against us. We don't have a proper number 9 because Weghorst is just a backup option. He's not that sort of a striker who can play for the top 4 team. Anthony Martial is always injured. That is the reason Erik Ten Hag wanted a number 9. That is the reason he wanted Darwin Núñez in the summer. But no, Glazers never gave him that sort of backing. And look what happened last night. He scored a goal against us. Look what happened to Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo was the number 1 choice by Erik Ten Hag for the January transfer window. He scored a brace against us last night. And just imagine if they were in our team, the things would have been different. It was obvious that we needed a midfielder in the summer. We needed a midfielder in the January window, but they never gave us the backing. They never backed up Erik Ten Hag. Look what happened last night. Our midfield wasn't good enough. The moment Erik Ten Hag subbed off Fred, it was Scott McTominay. And let's be very honest, we don't have a proper bench. Our bench is not good enough. Even if there was Donny van der Beek and Christian Eriksen were on the field, they were not good enough to compete with the brutality and the physical exertion of Liverpool game. Look at the players that Liverpool were having. Henderson, Fabinho, Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez, Virgil van Dijk. I mean, last night we had Lisandro Martinez and Varane, but they were not having a good game. And unfortunately, we don't have a another centre back as an option, because Erik Ten Hag wanted another centre back at the beginning of the summer window, but they never backed him up, and they never even gave him a centre back in the January window. And look what happened last night. He was frustrated with Varane and Martinez. He wanted to sub one of them. Harry Maguire was on the bench, but he knew Harry Maguire was shit, and he didn't even thought of considering Harry Maguire as a substitute, because he knew what even worse could happen. This is what I was talking about, that this is why Glazers need to leave this club. Glazers are not alone the problem. I am not saying that they are the reason because of last night's performance, but they are the soul of the heart. They reside in the heart of the problem that Manchester United have been dealing with for the past decade. And this is why they need to leave. This is why I want Qatar from that royal family, Al Thani royal family, to own this club, so that at least they give the financial backing to the manager. Can you tell me, if these players, if Man City lost that match 7-0 to Liverpool, will these players will stay in the same squad for the next season? No, they won't be. They'll give Guardiola a blank check. They'll say him sign some players and ship these assholes off. I'm telling you, this would happen. But unfortunately, that won't happen at Man United. And I'm not even saying that these players should be subbed off, because I love most of these players. I love Bruno Fernandes, I love Rashford, I love Luke Shaw, I love David De Gea. But last night, that performance was unforgiving and unacceptable. That performance was extremely horrific. I was actually sad by watching Manchester United catch that game. They were and people were talking about the fatigue and everything. People after the post match conference, everyone was talking about fatigue and the tired legs. You can't blame fatigue and tired legs when you're facing your arch rival. When you're facing Liverpool, you can't blame fatigue. You can't blame the number of matches you're playing in the past few weeks. That's not acceptable. I don't give a fuck about fatigue right now because you're facing Liverpool. You need to stamp their heads. You need to block them off. You need to. If I was the player, if I was a central defensive midfielder or a midfielder or a defensive pairback, I would have broken some legs on that field. Even if it had costed me a red card or I would have been suspended for a month. I don't give a fuck about that. If I was losing 3-0 down and I was a central defensive midfielder or any player at any position, I would have broke somebody's leg, trust me. I wouldn't have just put my head down and accepted defeat. And even if I was defeated, even if I was 3-0 down, I would have actually broken somebody's leg off. Trust me, I would have. And not just me, if there was Cantona, if there was Rooney, if there was Giggs or Berbatov, Ronaldo, they would have actually done something. They would have actually done something really horrendous for that last night performance. You would have been losing the match, but still you would have been laughing at that game that some of the United players were actually fighting against Liverpool. They couldn't beat them on the defeat them on the score sheet, so they kind of beaten them on the ground, and that would have been acceptable by me because as a Man United fan, I hate Liverpool. I fucking hate Liverpool. I really wish that all of them are dead. But I don't blame them for last night. Any footballing team would have done the same that those assholes were doing to us. They scored 1 goal, they scored 2. The moment they scored thrice after the second half started in the span of 5 to 10 minutes, when they were 3-0 down, they could have just rested off. It was 3-0 down. We couldn't have done anything about that. But still, they kept on scoring, they kept on attacking, they kept on doing that shit because they wanted to humiliate Manchester United. They are still a mid-table club. Believe me when I'm saying this, we will still end up staying above. We'll still end up above Liverpool and Chelsea, but that performance, that's gonna haunt us for the rest of the season. Because every fucking Liverpool fan, every fucking fan from Premier League who doesn't like Man United will rub that loss on our faces. And that is humiliating. That is actually humiliating. I really don't want to talk about it. I'm so pissed off right now because of that last night's performance. I feel like shit. I actually feel like shit. I'm really gonna wrap this up. If there's any news about the new ownership, I'm gonna definitely post that video. But last night's performance was unacceptable. Last night's performance was humiliating, was disastrous, and Manchester United players really need to have a look on their performances from last night. They really need to. Now it's gonna be a big test for Erik Ten Hag. I'm sure he's backing the players. I'm pretty much sure that he's gonna support them. I'm pretty much sure that he's gonna say things that because let's face it, he'll be more angrier than us because this loss is gonna stay in his CV that he was beaten by Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side by 7-0. That will be his biggest loss against a European club. So he's going to be really fuming. He's going to be really frustrated with that performance. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching the show. If you really like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Watch my other videos and surely we'll upload another video when something floats around Manchester United again. Till then, please take care of yourself. Thank you for watching the show. Bye-bye.